This video I'm going to talk about 4 free programs that I've found that I use to process my videos for my media server. Consistently batch changing the names of the videos, and how to add subtitles to my videos if you want to use subtitles. The 4 programs are Easy Subtitles Synchronizer, Rutabaga Subtitles Cleaner, the Renamer, and Advanced Renamer. And I'm going to show you how you could use these programs to simplify your work stream. Generally, when you rip your shows from a DVD or download them from the internet or whatever, you're going to have inconsistent names that is usually not going to be in the format that you want to keep them on. Now, how you set up your particular devices may differ from mine, but I like all of my names to be the name of the show, Season 4, Episode 3, dash, and then a title for the show name or episode name or whatever. And then I also use subtitles for all of my shows because I don't hear all that good, and I like to be able to see what's said on the screen if I don't miss it with my hearing. There's 3 different ways to put subtitles to a video without embedding them directly into the video if you re-encode them with something like Handbrake or another program. I use SRT files. They're the most consistent with other hardware that you might be using. I use a Plex media software on my server to stream my videos to a Roku box to my TV. And the Roku box in particular, or maybe it's not the Roku, maybe it's the Plex media server, SRTs are the only thing that works consistently with it. Step 1, if we've got some files that we want to rename, so we're going to pull up the first program in the list, Easy Subtitle Synchronizer. This program allows you to process your SRT files to make them match your videos, so that when the lips move, the actual words are coming out at the same time. It does a lot of things, so it allows you to adjust sync. You can manually sync. Some of this we're not going to go into because it can be a little complicated. Some of it's pretty easy. You can convert. If you got a movie that's shot in non-standard US format frames per second, say 25 frames per second, but your SRT file is synced for 29 point whatever 30 frames per second, then you get as the movie progresses and you go through the movie, it progressively gets worse and worse out of sync. This will let you resync to a given frame rate. Most of the time you're not going to have to do any of that stuff. We'll just grab a video and drop it anywhere on here, it doesn't matter, it will load it up. Then we're going to let this try to go find that video SRT file for us. Normally, if it's on the internet, it can find it, but it doesn't necessarily mean if it doesn't find it, you can't find it by doing a Google search. Here it's found 2 for us, and they happen to match the names of our video file perfectly, so we'll pick one of them, right click it, download the subtitles. Now that we got the subtitles downloaded into the movie, the first thing I do is I hit repair, and it's going to fix some of these things, like if it has italic tags or bold tags in the subtitle text. A lot of programs ignore them and it puts the tags on the screen with the text. So I'll just go ahead and get rid of all of them. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to play the video, and as it plays, it'll display whatever line you happen to be on, and so you're just checking it to see that it matches.
And there you have it.
And then I go check it a couple of times throughout the video to make sure that it's all in sync throughout the video.
Nicky, tell your grandpa to pass the salt.
Grandpa, can you...
Once I know that the file syncs to the video perfectly the way it's supposed to, I go ahead and save it. And it just created the file over here with the exact same file name with the SRT extension. And then I'll do that for the rest of these files, one at a time. Okay, I've processed all my video files that I had, and I was able to find SRT files for every one of them, and I checked their sync. So we can get rid of this program and go into step 2. Step 2 is to further process the SRT files. This is an older program, and it also helps process your SRT files. Depending on who had the SRT file before you, how they edited it, what they used for an editor, may be an incompatible format. When you look at it, it looks okay, but it may have characters in there if it's not UTF-8. Well, you can read it, your television or your processor, like your Roku box, can't read it correctly, and so they don't display. And so I always run it through this processor, and this fixes any errors that it might have in it. At the same time, different people put different subtitles in here, like this one here is opensubtitles.org, and there'll probably be some down at the bottom of the file synchronized by Easy Subtitle Synchronizer, Edelman, etc. And sometimes they put them somewhere else inside here, like this one's got original air date and stuff. Well, this program has what they call filter keywords, and it only accepts X number of lines that you can define in here. But you put something in there that matches what you want it to take out, like opensubtitles.org, if that's in there, like here, then anything that has to do with that subtitle line, including the timestamp and the sequence, it takes them out of there automatically, strips them out. Unfortunately, this program renames your files to an arbitrary file name. You see, this is what it's going in here, and this is what it's going to kick out. You can change that by selecting this and doing a Control-C and a Control-V for each one at a time as you do it. But you don't need to worry about that, because we're going to show you how to fix that in step 3. When it's processing these lines, it's going to reformat them to 53 characters per line. And when it does that, sometimes it doesn't catch these lines that it's supposed to strip out, so you want to run this program twice on each file, and that way it catches everything. And to do that, just run it into batch mode, convert, rename all, tell it yes, and it'll go through them. Wait a couple of seconds if you make sure that the write cache is written to the hard drive, and then go back up here and select one of them and convert, rename all again, and it'll do them all again, and that's done. That's all you have to do to it. Now all of these SRT files will be in the correct format, it stripped out the subtitles you didn't want to have in there, and it should work on any media streamer that you use. Now you see that it renamed our SRT files, so now they no longer match the video file. But step 3, we're going to rename our files to a consistent naming format that we use throughout the rest of our folders. So for step 3, we're going to use the Renamer program. And this is a really cool program. Whoever wrote this did a really good job on it. It'll rename TV shows, and if you click on the movies or TVs, it'll rename movies. You have different databases that you can find. If you can't find it in one database, you can search in another database. You click on these to make them change. I use TV.com most of the time. You want to try to stick to one database if you can, because certain databases may have a different file name. It may not be exactly the same as TV.com's is, for example. So as long as you use the same database all the time, then it should match your format that you're using, like this, if you have it set up like this. In your settings, you can define how you want it to rename it. These are the settings that I use to put the name of the show, a space, a hyphen, a space, the series episode number, space, hyphen, space, and the title of the episode. But you can have yours set up any way that you want. Now to rename all this stuff, get back into the ones we're working with. Just highlight all of them, including the SRT files. Drag them and drop them, and it'll process them. Usually only takes a second. Then you check it to make sure that it renamed them the way that you wanted to, and if there's any of them are suspect or wrong, just uncheck them. And when you're ready, click proceed, and it renamed everything the same in the correct format. So we're done with this. The last step, step 4, we're going to deal with renaming the SRT files to put a sub extension in there. In this case, I'm going to put in a .en extension, which will tell whatever program is encoding your video files to push to your TV that it's an English subtitle. You may have multiple subtitles. You may not be using English. For English, you use a .en or a .eng extension. It will work like this, but if I put it in a .en in there, then my system will only process English subtitles, and if it's not English, then it disregards them because I can't read any other language anyway. So for our 4th program, and this advanced renamer is useful to rename any type of files. It doesn't have to be video files. So we're going to grab all the files that we want to rename, and even though we're not naming the video files themselves, it doesn't matter if we pull them over here, because it's going to do a match, and it'll just process the ones, like it's going to ignore the MP4 because we're telling it to replace .srt with .en.srt. When you first pull this program up after you install it, it won't have this replace window on here. All you got to do is click add method and select replace, and it'll bring you up this window. Type in what you want replaced and what you want to replace it with, and in this case you want to use name and extension because we're changing the extension name. And after you look at it and it looks like that it's correct, that's what you want to do. All you got to do is tell it start and run batch, and it's renamed all the SRTs with the .e and .srt. Now the only thing you got to do is put them in your directories. And if you go look at it, it's named in the same format as all your earlier ones was. Well, that's about all there is to that. It's 4 simple free programs, shareware programs in some cases, but they're all free. They don't have any limits on them. You can use them as long as you want. Will help you process your file names on your video files so that they have a consistent format. And I hope you found this video useful, and that's the end. Goodbye.